The German language, as the internet knows only too well, has a word for seemingly everything. It even, and here I must take issue with the writers of Blackadder Goes Forth, has a word for fluffy. It's flauschig. But of all the words that German has, there is at least one you wouldn't think would have to exist. The word Third Kaiser describes a year in which 3 different emperors reign. Well, to be fair, the reason this word exists at all is that such a year actually happened in German history. The year was 1888, and there is a chance that if things hadn't gone the way they did, Europe might now be a rather different place. The German Empire had been founded 17 years previously at the end of a long and painful process of unification which had seen the birth of a new, modern nation-state ready to meet the challenges of the 19th century. The first emperor of this new nation, Wilhelm I, died in 1888, aged 91, and his son duly took over as Friedrich III. And yes, the third. He was the first and only Friedrich to reign over the German Empire, but the third Friedrich to be King of Prussia. It gets a bit complicated, but this could be the subject of a future video. Friedrich III was very popular among liberals, people who wanted to continue the process of transforming the country and turning it into something more modern. He was particularly impressed by the British parliamentary system and thought that was a great way to run a country. As a teenager, he'd witnessed the March Revolution of 1848. Now, although that revolution ultimately failed, it showed what can happen when a ruler oversteps the mark, and so it must have impressed upon the young Friedrich the importance of having some kind of democracy. That put him at odds with his Chancellor, Otto von Bismarck, who was often called the Iron Chancellor and believed that a ruler had to be authoritarian. He was very definitely an anti-parliamentarian, but he was also getting old and would only live for another 10 years. Unfortunately for the liberals, the new emperor was even more ill. In fact, he had cancer of the larynx. He was too ill even to attend his own father's funeral and was too weak to carry out most of his duties, much less work on drafting a new constitution. Which is how 1888 became the year of the 3 Kaisers, because on the 99th day of his reign, Friedrich III died, and with him died all hopes of meaningful reform. Not that all historians think there would have been reform if he'd lived, but we'll never know. His son, Wilhelm II, was next in line, and he was a completely different character. Even his own parents worried about him. Some years previously, when Wilhelm was working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Friedrich had written to Bismarck saying that he was simply too arrogant and overconfident, and that it would actually be dangerous to let him get too involved. And so it came to pass, and he spent the next 30 years being famously pompous, arrogant, and big-mouthed. He loved military parades and calling Parliament a pigsty. The year before he came to the throne, Bismarck had already predicted that Wilhelm II would plunge Germany into war. Well, it took nearly 30 years, and to be honest, even Friedrich III might have been unable to prevent it happening, but the war did come, and when it was over, so was the monarchy. And that is the famous year of the 3 Kaisers of 1888. Historians do argue over whether it really changed German history, but it's fun to speculate how it might have done. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not send me a postcard? Here's the address. Or visit Rewboss.com, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my blog.